Jordan Grand Prix graced the Formula One grid throughout the 1990s and early 2000s with some dazzling and distinctive cars, and brought a sense of fun to this very serious sport under the leadership of the eccentric Eddie Jordan. In their 15-year history, they familiarised themselves with both ends of the grid, as they often struggled to find a good balance between speed and reliability. But which car was best? Here's a comprehensive ranking of all 15 Jordan Grand Prix cars. So, the worst Jordan from 1992 is the 192. Jordan made a big statement upon entry to Formula One in 1991 with a stunning car and a legendary debut performance from Michael Schumacher, but were brought back down to earth for 1992. They had expected to keep running their Ford V8 engines and designed the 192 around this, but lost the contract and were forced to adopt Yamaha V12s, which were loaned to them free of charge but were ill-fitting and constantly overheated. They also had a new driver lineup of Stefano Modena and Mauricio Gugelmin. Modena had the worst time of the two, as he didn't either qualify for or finish a race until the 12th round at Spa, which was the team's only double finish of the season. Gugelmin finished in the top 10 once at Imola, but finished only 4 other races. Modena did, however, score a single point at the final round in Australia that catapulted the team from 13th to 11th in the Constructors' Championship. In 14th, from 1993, is the 193. After a disastrous 1992, the team decided things needed to change. The Yamaha V12 engines were replaced with less powerful but less volatile Hart V10s. They introduced a semi-automatic gearbox, but as it kept jamming in one gear, they reverted back to manual transmission for most of the year while they sorted it out. They also had another new driver lineup of a rookie Rubens Barrichello and veteran Ivan Capelli. Though after Capelli failed to qualify at the second round, he decided to retire and was replaced with Thierry Boutsen. Barrichello was by far the faster driver and was on course for third place at a very wet Donington until the car ran out of fuel. Boutsen eventually got replaced with Marco Apicella at Monza, who crashed out at turn 1 on the first lap and was replaced with Jordan's test driver Emanuele Naspetti at Estoril, who in turn was replaced with Eddie Irvine at Suzuka, finally giving Barrichello some genuine competition, and a double points finish with 5th and 6th, though Irvine did infuriate race winner Ayrton Senna in the process by aggressively unlapping himself and was punched in the face in the Jordan hospitality area after the race. In 13th, from 2004, is the EJ14. Jordan barely scraped into 2004 after losing an expensive legal battle with Vodafone, and it ended up being their final year under Eddie Jordan's leadership before being sold to the Midland Group. The car was mostly just an updated version of the EJ13 and was driven by Nick Heidfeld and pay driver Giorgio Pantano. Heidfeld got a 7th place in Monaco, and Pantano was replaced with Timo Glock for Canada after his sponsor failed to pay, where 4 disqualifications further up the field meant they lucked into 7th and 8th. After this, no further points came, and when the car wasn't breaking down, the only team they could comfortably beat was Minardi. In 12th, from 2003, is the EJ13. Jordan lost their long-lasting collaboration with Honda in 2003 and so switched to year-old Cosworths rebadged as Fords. This created quite a slump in performance, but they still won a race in extraordinary circumstances. Giancarlo Fisichella got himself up to first in a very wet Brazilian Grand Prix, which was red flagged and called off early due to big crashes from Mark Webber and Fernando Alonso, but a timekeeping error meant he was falsely classified a lap further down in second, until this was investigated and corrected several days later, and he was handed the win. Outside of this, second driver Ralph Furman got a point at Spain, and was replaced with Zsolt Baumgartner after injuring himself during practice for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Fisichella got another 2 points at Indianapolis, but even with the win they still only beat Minardi. In 11th, from 2005, is Jordan's last car, the EJ15. For 2005, Eddie Jordan had sold the team to the Midland Group for $60 million, and they were now under the leadership of Alex Schneider. Cosworth were put up for sale in the winter break, so at the last minute the team secured Toyota engines. They also had an all-rookie lineup of Thiago Montero and Narain Karthikeyan. They once again spent the entire year fighting at the back with Minardi, but were given a lifeline in their battle with a 3rd and a 4th at the farcical 6-car United States Grand Prix. The car was by far Jordan's most reliable, with only 6 retirements the entire season, 5 of which happened to Karthikeyan. A B-spec model was brought in at Monza, which Montero drove to 8th at Spa, and the team finished their final year in Formula 1 ninth in the Constructors' Championship. In 10th from 2002 is the EJ12. This was the car that really signalled Jordan's decline. A loss of sponsorship money inhibited development. Giancarlo Fisichella often just scraped into the points on the rare occasions the car finished a race, but rookie Takuma Sato quickly gained a reputation as a crasher and didn't score any points until a 5th at Suzuka, which meant they just scraped into 6th in the Constructors' Championship. In 9th from 2000 is the EJ10. Jordan had been thrust to the front of the grid in 1999 with a sensational campaign from Heinz-Harald Frentzen that saw him be a title contender for most of the year. They knew it would be a tall order to continue battling with Ferrari and McLaren in the new century, but any proper chances they had to fight were constantly thwarted by abysmal reliability. Frentzen and Jarno Trulli could often score points when the car was finishing races, but finishing only 5 races without a retirement meant they dropped from 3rd to 6th in the Constructors' Championship. In 8th from 1995 is the 195. 1995 was Jordan's first year running Peugeot V10s. The car was a solid midfielder, and Rubens Barrichello and Eddie Irvine gave the team their best result up to that point with 2nd and 3rd at Canada. But once again, reliability was a major issue that cost them a lot of points. In 7th from 2001 is the EJ11. Jordan were given access to full works Honda engines for 2001, and with a complete overhaul of the aerodynamics and a new 7-speed gearbox, Heinz-Harald Frentzen and Jarno Trulli felt that they could be title contenders. Early on, the car proved to be a fantastic qualifier but lacking in race pace. The team scored points in the first 5 races, but only one double points finish. From here on, poor reliability and a series of accidents began to kick in and deprived the team of a lot of points. Frentzen was replaced with Ricardo Zonta for Canada after crashing in practice and complaining of dizziness and headaches, and was then fired after Silverstone. Zonta did one more race, and Jean Alesi was then brought in from Hungary onwards, where the team brought in a B-spec model that ended up only being marginally faster. Trulli got a crucial 4th place at Indianapolis, only to be disqualified and leave the team 6th in the Constructors' Championship. During the winter break, however, they successfully appealed this and moved back up to 5th ahead of main rivals BAR. In 6th from 1996 is the 196. Rubens Barrichello was in his 4th season with the team, and Martin Brundle moved over from Ligier for what was his final season in Formula 1. It was a largely uneventful year, save for Brundle's heavy crash at the season-opening Australian Grand Prix. There was a fairly even balance between points and retirements, which left them 5th in the Constructors' Championship. In 5th from 1997 is the 197. This was the first Jordan to feature their iconic yellow snake livery. There was also a youthful new driver lineup of Ralf Schumacher and Giancarlo Fisichella. Only twice did either of them finish outside the top 10. Schumacher got a point in only his 3rd race in Argentina. Fisichella got 2 podiums, fastest lap in Spain, and qualified 2nd in Germany, but dropped down to 11th in the race. More retirements than they would have liked, however, left them 5th in the Constructors' Championship once again. In 4th from 1994 is the 194. The banning of electronic driver aids for 1994 seemed to revitalise the team. Rubens Barrichello finished 4th at Brazil, but Eddie Irvine was banned from the next 3 races for causing a 4-car pile-up and was replaced with Aguri Suzuki and then Andrea De Cesaris. Barrichello went one better at the Pacific Grand Prix with the team's first ever podium. He then crashed heavily during practice for the San Marino Grand Prix and sat out the race, which saw the death of his idol Ayrton Senna. The team struggled from this point until Barrichello put himself on pole position during a wet qualifying for the Belgian Grand Prix, becoming Formula 1's youngest pole sitter at the time, but dropped down in the race and spun off. After this, the team scored points at every remaining race and came home 5th in the Constructors' Championship. In 3rd is Jordan's first car, from 1991, the 191. Jordan immediately put themselves on the map with this Gary Anderson design with its striking green and blue 7-Up livery and somewhat prolapsed diffuser. They ran better than most other rookie teams of the era, though Bertrand Gachot and Andrea De Cesaris did struggle at first, as De Cesaris failed to qualify for the first race and failed to finish the next 3. They then showed the car's true pace with a 4th and 5th at Canada. Points then came regularly through the mid-season races, and Gachot got fastest lap at Hungary. However, After this, he was then sentenced to 2 months in prison for assaulting a taxi driver in London the previous year. Eddie Jordan needed to find a replacement driver and came across a young German named Michael Schumacher. He immediately turned heads by qualifying 7th in Spa, joint best for the team, but then barely made it to Raidillon in the race before the clutch gave up. De Cesaris managed to climb up to 2nd before retiring as well a few laps before the end. A tug-of-war match between Jordan and Benetton over Schumacher ensued, with the latter eventually coming out on top. He was then replaced with veteran Roberto Moreno and a rookie Alex Zanardi, who both failed to replicate Schumacher's achievements. A strong mid-season gave the team a very respectable 5th place in the Constructors' Championship in their first year. In second, from 1998, is the 198. For 1998, Jordan secured a deal to run Mugen Honda engines and brought in 1996 champion Damon Hill alongside Ralf Schumacher. The Mugen Honda engines proved to be underpowered and the car often understeered, which meant that by the halfway point of the season they had failed to score a single point and were down in 9th in the Constructors' Championship. At this point, long-term technical director Gary Anderson left the team and was replaced with Mike Gascoigne, who immediately did a complete rework of the car. After this, the car came alive and the points started pouring in, which culminated in the Belgian Grand Prix, where Jordan were one of the few teams to have both drivers survive a 12-car pile-up at the start of the race and went on to achieve a historic 1-2 finish. Schumacher was on the podium again in Monza, and the team launched up to 4th in the Constructors' Championship. And finally, in first, from 1999, is the 199. After turning 1998 around completely for Jordan, Mike Gascoigne was now able to put his efforts into a car from the ground up. Heinz-Harald Frentzen replaced Ralf Schumacher and joined Damon Hill, and hit the ground running by almost winning the first race. As the season went on, he got 5 more podiums and 2 wins and became a title contender. Hill struggled in his final season with poor pace and was involved in a lot of accidents. Frentzen finished outside the points only once, but retiring from his only pole of the season at the Nürburgring ended any chances he had of taking the title. But he still eventually finished a sensational 3rd in the Drivers' Championship. Hill contributed only 7 of the team's 61 points to the Constructors' Championship, but it was still enough for them to finish 3rd there as well, and as such, I can declare it the greatest Jordan Grand Prix car of all time. That's all for this video. Let me know if you disagree with the order or would like to see any other teams' cars ranked. Thanks for watching, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Brook_F1, and I'll see you all next time.